writers and readers, I'm Christy Stratus. I hope you had a wonderful holiday, no matter what you celebrated. If your holiday is still coming up, then happy holidays. And a lot of you have already celebrated and you've gotten a lot of presents. And one of those might be an Amazon gift card. And if it is, you might be wondering, what should you spend it on? I know it's a tough decision, but anyway, I thought maybe I could suggest 3 books that I really enjoyed this year, and I wanted to tell you just a little bit about them in case you felt like buying them on Kindle or on paperback or whatever each one is offered as. So the first one is Sweet Faded Ink, and that one is by Chrissy Moon. Now you may have already noticed. Come here. You may have already noticed that I had a giveaway for that book. I really do love it. I just think it's a fantastic poetry book. I don't know how this dog got here, in case you can see her. She just ended up here. So anyway, this is my dog. I really love that book. It is a poetry book, and it's a short book. You can get it on audio, you can get it on Kindle. I can't remember if it's paperback. But Chrissy Moon does an absolutely fantastic job, and I'm very critical of poetry, honestly. I've definitely read a fair amount of poetry that's been published by traditional publishers. There was one I was very much looking forward to. I'm not going to name it, but I was very much looking forward to it. It was pretty short, and when I did go and finally read it, it didn't have enough meanings for me. Now, Chrissy Moon's book is full of depth. It's full of universal feelings. It's almost hard for me to describe because it's a very personal type of thing. It talks a lot about relationships. It is one person's life, a female character, or maybe it's hers. I wouldn't presume to say, but it's a woman's life. And it does go from when she's younger to when she's more experienced. And she's gone through this difficult relationship, and it's difficult in different ways, some ways typical, maybe some ways not, but it's a lot of the ways that we tend to feel and the difficulties that I'm sure that we share, and it came out in just such a beautiful way. She does stagger the different time period, so some will be younger and then it'll be intermixed with the more experienced ones, and I think that the mix actually brings out such amazing revelations. It just spoke to me on a lot of levels, so I highly recommend that you pick up that book. I will be reading J.D. Estrada's poetry this year. I have all, if not most, if not all, of his poetry that's in English, and I'm going to do a comparison video to tell you guys what each one is about and who might appreciate each one. So the next one I want to tell you about is called White is the Coldest Color. That is by John Nichol. I will put all the links down below, all the spellings of the names and everything down below. And his book was absolutely fantastic. This is a dark, disturbing psychological thriller. It has both the police's perspective and the psychological crazy man's perspective. It was absolutely phenomenal. I totally loved this book. I was on the edge of my seat. This is another one that's also, you could do ebook. I want to say that there's paperback, but I'm not 100% sure. And there's audiobook, and I listened to the audiobook. The audiobook reading was excellent. And I thought that the story pulled me in so much, it was hard for me to get out of the car. I just kept listening and listening. It's very, very intense. As I said, it is disturbing and dark. But if you like that kind of thing and you can handle that kind of thing, I would say the most graphic, disturbing part is at the very beginning. If you get past that, it is psychologically disturbing, but you don't have as much of the gory, gruesome stuff later on. He does pick and choose what he tells you about in depth, and I did appreciate that greatly because he could have gone into a lot more depth about really gross stuff, and he didn't. So I do appreciate that a lot, and I felt that the psychology was dead on, and I mean, it's no wonder. You should check out his Amazon page. He tells you why his background is so conducive to this book, and I highly recommend it. And the final book I'm going to mention, this is one I've been meaning to review for a long time, and it just keeps slipping my mind, so I apologize for that. But Amongst the Killing by Joe Compton is an absolutely wonderful book that I so enjoyed. That's another crime thriller type, but it is very psychological, and that's what I love about it. It's not just, you know, here's a bad guy, here's a good guy, we're going to look at the detective, and we're going to look at the bad guy, and they're relatively the same as you've read in many other books. I truly felt that this was different because the psychology is not just clean cut. At some points, the detective almost seems like the antagonist, and the villainous character almost seems like the protagonist in some ways. And I just thought it was very well told. I love the different perspectives. There is a part where the protagonist the detective, is going through some very difficult emotions, and he has really sunk to a level that is just, you feel it. You really feel what the man is going through, and I felt that he made this detective so much more relatable by bringing him down to a degree that you don't always see detectives, especially typically in thrillers where the detectives are held up on a pedestal and things like that. It's not every thriller that does that, but it's just a typical kind of thing that I've personally found. And this was like the opposite. This guy is a normal guy and he's going through the roughest time in his life, and you can see how badly it impacts him. And just overall, it was a suspenseful book. It was very enjoyable. So those are my 3 books that I recommend that you buy if you get the chance. Definitely, if you've got some leftover Amazon money, don't know what to do with it, then definitely spend it on that. And honestly, I will be rereading these books. I think they're fantastic, and I do have the paperback of some, audiobooks of others, ebooks of others, and I just love them. There's a lot more I could recommend, but those 3 are the ones I would personally spend my gift money on. So again, I hope you guys have had a happy holidays and continue having happy holidays. Happy New Year in advance, and I will see you soon.